So a couple of days ago, Gio did a video about players whose contracts were running out at West Ham. I started to watch it and I thought, oh no, stop, hold it. What I'm going to do is I'll do my own. I didn't want to be influenced by his opinions, basically. So I'll do it. I'll have a little look. And I've got to be honest with you, some of the names surprised me. I've been pretty ruthless, so I've got to be honest. So let's have a look. So who have we got? We've got two goalkeepers. We've got Randolph. We've got Fabianski. Cofal, Ashby, Ogbonna, Dawson, Cresswell, Coventry, Lanzini. That's a lot of players out of contract. And I think the first thing that really struck my mind, well, this is quite rare, isn't it? Or quite odd for it to be sort of 2 seasons in a row, for us to lose so many this season. And don't get me wrong, I think we've upgraded many of them, and you can make a case for everybody. Noble, we knew. Crowell going back to his club. Frederick's contract expired. Yarmolenko. All the stuff. You can make excuses for all of them. And when I say excuses, I don't mean that as a bad word. I mean, there's good reason for each one of them leaving. But then for the next season, for us to be basically losing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players as well. Now, 2 of them do have options. I should probably say that. 1-year option on Coventry and 2-year options on Cofal and Lanzini. The rest have no options. So basically, what would I do? I think by the looks of it, I'd be pretty ruthless. Let's just cut straight to the chase. Randolph, I wouldn't renew. I'd just let it expire. If we don't have... Look, Randolph's been a decent servant to the club twice. No fuss, doesn't make any... That doesn't just make any fuss, does he, if he's not playing? That being said, I would like to believe that we either have a better goalkeeper in our youth ranks than Randolph will be next year, or we can buy an up-and-coming promising one. So that's the first thing. Fabianski... I guess it depends how he's playing, but I think if we do retain Fabianski, we do give him another year's contract, then I would hope he'd very much be the number 2. And I think that's only fair on Areola as well, that Areola's come in as number 1. I'm pretty sure Areola probably, well, certainly wishes he was playing in the first team at the moment. When I say the first team, I mean the Premier League team. The squad, I feel, will see that as the first team rather than the Europa Conference team. Again, I'd probably look to... In fact, I'm not that bothered. I'm not that bothered about whether Fabianski stays on as number 2 or not. I think if you go and buy someone to put real pressure on Areola, then I think Areola deserves a shot for 2 or 3 years of being the unchallenged number 1. Have someone there to keep him on his toes, by all means, but give him the number 1 spot. That's what I would do there. I think those 2 are easy, Randolph and Fabianski, but I honestly don't mind. Here's the interesting ones. In fact, let me get the uninteresting ones. We'll save the juicy ones for the end. Dawson, if he wanted to stay, I'd give him another year's contract. I really would, but I think he doesn't want to, so why would he sign? He wants to move back home, basically, and you can't really deny him that. Unless things totally change, his family suddenly decided, actually, I don't know where his family... Are they in Liverpool? I don't know. I think they're in Lancashire somewhere, actually. So, but wherever they are, they're not suddenly going to say, oh, do you know what? Actually, what we really want to do is be in London. If they did that, I'd give him another deal. I love Dawson. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think that decision... I don't think that decision's in our hands. I think that decision's going to be made for us. Ogbonna, here's the... I wouldn't renew. I wouldn't renew. I'd let him play out this year. I'm far from convinced that he's going to get back to his best. There's a difference between being fit and back to your best, because even if he gets fit, he's going to be a fit person in his mid-30s, a bit like myself, but he's still going to be a fit person in his mid-30s, has had significant and serious injuries. He's not going to get back to what he was. You look at the defenders that Moyes is bringing in, a Gers we've not seen yet, but certainly Keira is looking excellent. Zuma looks like he's getting back to form. I just don't think that's the way we're going. So, I wouldn't give him another year's deal. Sorry, Oggy, if you're watching this. Sorry. Great servant for the club, though, right? Really, really good. I'm going to leave Cofal and Ashby a little bit. Cresswell, that's... Okay, I'm doing the easy ones first. Lanzini, I wouldn't give Lanzini a new deal. I wouldn't take his option up. I really don't. I like to think that we can find another attacking midfielder. Again, he's been a great servant to the club. And I don't think it's doing him a disservice. I think you can let someone go without it being nasty. He's been a really good servant to the club. He's already said he wants to go back to Argentina. I say he's already said it. I can't remember if it's Boca Juniors or River Plate now. Someone will tell me in the chat. Whichever one I guess is going to be wrong, so I won't guess. But whichever one it is, maybe it's Boca. Maybe it's, anyway, forget that. Right, whichever one it is, he clearly wants to go back there anyway. I remember him saying he was quite lonely during COVID. His family were over there. His dad's over here with him. He's been a great servant. You know, I'm sure he's a rich man now. Let him go back there. I would release him. I think we can. It's not getting someone better sounds disrespectful. There was a point when Lanzini could have been the best player around. He really was, and he had a really unfortunate injury, and he got it in international duty. And he was he was going to be a big player at that tournament. Messi had wanted him to. Was sort of almost forcing the manager's hand, saying, "I want this guy in the team." So, hey, you know what? He goes with everyone's blessings, if you like. Right, okay. I think that's the easy ones out of the way. Let's get to the ones that I'm sure there'll be some disagreement in some things I'm going to say here. Before I say some of the things that you are going to disagree with, can I please point you in the direction of the OneFootball app, which you can download by clicking the link below. There ain't a lot of football on at the moment, but what there is you can find out about on that fantastic app. It's a brilliant app because you can tailor it to your own suits and your own needs. So you tell the app at the point you download it, and it is free, by the way, that you support West Ham, and it just goes searching around the internet for all the West Ham stories from all the Premier League sites, delivers them to your phone, goes around searching all the newspapers, taking all the West Ham stories, puts them all in one place, delivers them to your phone. That's the OneFootball app. If you don't like it, you can just delete it, but check it out. The link is in the description below under this screen. Okay, let's get to the tricky dicky ones. Cofal. I would give Cofal a year's deal, another year, or take up the option. I don't know if you can take it. I don't know if you've got a 2-year option, if you can just take up the year. I'm not so sure. But I would really want to make sure that he understood he was second choice. And I would really want to make sure that David Moyes understood he was second or third choice. Because I've got to be honest, I think he's a hindrance to how we play sometimes. Not all the time. He can have some man of the matches. Look, we've got this player ratings thing that we do, and we go through and we rate players after each game. He's perfectly capable. If I look back at the end of the season, he'll have some 8 and 9s performances, 1 or 2, but there'll also be some stinky old performances in there, and it's because he lacks a bit of technique, basically. A bit of first touch. His crossing technique is hit and miss. I don't know. Maybe we can ask Jack, our analytics expert, what his success rate in terms of crossing is, but it ain't great. His technique is not honed, and that sort of feeds into the other person to talk about, which is Harrison Ashby. I just think it's really important that Cofal is not our long-term right back, and I think certainly beyond this season, I'd like to think this season both Ashby and Johnson can put pressure on him, and as I've said on numerous occasions, wouldn't mind seeing how good Kehrer is there. New contract, no. I just wouldn't do it. A year of the option, yes. But he has to be happy with that. He has to be happy that he's going to be a squad player. So basically, I wouldn't mind it if Cofal was the guy in the early stages. If we're in Europe next season, that's something to say, we'll be in Europe next season. But in the early stages, in the group stages, you play Cofal. Then as the Premier League right back, no. I would replace him. Right, Ashby. Look, I've spoken about Ashby quite a lot on this channel, and for good reason. He's a bloody good player, a really, really good player. And it's somebody I would like to see not only integrated into the first team, but given almost like a development plan. I'd like Moyes to say to him, to point at Cofal and say to Ashby, that job's yours. That's yours. I'm giving you that. Sign a new deal with us. And we'll make sure you play in that spot, because actually his technique is very, very good. His crossing technique is excellent. I think there are certain nuances of the defensive game which you can learn. He can learn those. I think that ability to cross and the long pass, something Arsene Wenger said. Arsene Wenger said about young players. He said about if a young player hasn't got their technique honed and perfect, by the time they're 14, they're unlikely to really develop it an awful lot further. You do all your learning before that. He said the tactics, positioning, things like that we can teach. The skill levels we can't. So Cofal is not going to suddenly become a really tricky player and with a great first touch, and his crossing can be loads better. Those basic qualities, those basic techniques, Ashby already has them. I I think he's going to score some screamers, by the way. At the end of his career, I reckon you'll look back at Ashby's highlight reel and he would have scored some real pile drivers, some real rip schnorters, some humdingers, some real rockets. How many other ways can I find to say it? Anyway, you get the idea. So, yes, Ashby, come on. I mean, again, but it's out of our hands. That's a bit like Dawson in that sense. I'm not sure we get to decide this. But if it were my decision, if I was in charge, then Ashby gets the deal. I think, let me just double check here, because I'm just checking my phone. I'm not checking the messages. It's literally, it's on my phone. Yeah, it's just Coventry, isn't it? Okay, so basically, this is the whole point. Coventry is out of contract next summer. Gets to the end of this season, he is out of contract. Here's what I would like to do with Connor Coventry. And again, Connor Coventry has to be in agreement for this. I'd literally split this season up for him. I would play him at the moment and keep him in and around the squad. Get him more acquainted with the squad, get him more acquainted with training. I think it's important that Flynn Downs is starting those European games. But if we get after the second game in the Conference League, we've got 6 points on the board, then I would start using Coventry a little bit more in Europe. So give him... By the time we get to the January transfer window, it would be nice to think that Connor Coventry, both in substitute appearances and in starts, has played in 6-7 games for West Ham. I think that would be good. I think that's realistic. I'd then like for the remainder of the season to send him out on loan, but again with instructions. Communication is so important in the way that I was saying with Ashby. You've got to communicate and you've got to say, right, I'm sending you on loan to a Championship club and to one that is going to suit his playing style and one that we know is going to play him. That's the agreement. You can take Connor Coventry on loan. That's again dialogue. Again, important to have the dialogue with the club. How many times have we seen players go on loan, they don't play? This is really important. You find the club and you say to the club, okay, we really need him to play. And so in which case, you're probably looking at a desperate club, aren't you, in that sense? A club that have been decimated by injury, maybe need a central midfielder, can't afford to buy one, and they're going to rip your arm off, and they're going to say, look, we would gladly, look, Coventry's going to play every game. We desperately need him here. And I'll be saying to Coventry, you go to that club, and if you show that club you're that club's best player, we'll give you another year on, basically. And then see what you can do. Come back, show you're one of the best players in the Championship. That's what I would do with Connor Coventry. I wouldn't just automatically go and offer him a new 3-year deal, because I also think sometimes you hinder a player's career as well, and I think it's important because I think Coventry will have a good career. I'm not saying he's going to be a world star, but I think he's the most capped player at Ireland's under 21s, possibly their most capped player. He's clearly going to have a really good career as a professional footballer. I don't know what level, but I do think you hinder it. I do think if you tie him down to a West Ham contract, you hinder him. Sometimes you just got to let him go. And I think David Moyes pretty much said that about Elise, didn't he? He said, we really liked him. He said, we really liked him as a lad, but there wasn't opportunity for him here. And he said he wanted to play football, and we just thought, you know what, it's good. It's good for him if we let him go. I know he's maybe not played the football since he's left that he wanted to, but I thought the sentiment was right. Let them go. Don't hinder them. So I think we should only offer Connor Coventry a new contract if he has a realistic chance of playing. Anything else is just protecting an asset. I think possibly that'd be the wrong thing to do, for the player who's clearly very fond of West Ham. So that's what I would do with those players. I haven't even, as I said, I didn't even look at Gio's video because I thought I don't want whatever Gio says to influence. Well, I said I'm going to go and watch it now. But if you haven't done so already, and you haven't left your comments on Gio's video, leave them on here. Let me know what you do. Be very, very interested. We're going to have a little argument in the a nice one, a nice football debate. In the chat. Not a lot else to do at the moment, is there? Let's be perfectly honest with you. We're going to keep the content going this week. I guess in many respects we're quite fortunate in as much as we've got the European game to look forward to as well. And as I mentioned before, I think David Moyes probably will feel the benefit of having a week on the training grounds to something did make me laugh with Paqueta. Paqueta said the headline was Paqueta says West Ham fans made my mum and my sister cry, and now I'm going to pay them back. Right? It just sounded so sinister. I know, I get it. they were so overwhelmed by the welcome from West Ham fans. They cried with love. They cried with joy. They were overwhelmed. Mrs. and Miss Paqueta. And he's going to pay us back by doing good performances on the pitch. But it came and going, hey, it was a bit like that, I don't know why. I was almost going to go Don Corleone then, but he's not. He's Brazilian. But it was almost a case of you made my sister, you made my mama cry, you made my sister cry, and now I'm going to pay you back. You're going to sleep with the fishes and all that type of stuff. So anyway, but he meant it nicely. He didn't mean it like that. Anyway, I'm going to go. No one watches this end bit anyway. I'll be amazed. If anyone comments on this, I'm well impressed. I'm well impressed because you watched the end. And if you watch the end, don't tell the others you're my favourites.